Today we'll be talking about policy shift, social base, and dimension of globalization. Okay, let us look at certain important aspects of globalization. I'll be discussing about the dimension of globalization, and the dimension of globalization. Specifically, I'll be talking about the economic dimension of globalization. As I have said yesterday and in my earlier discussions, that largely globalization is an economic phenomenon having social, political, cultural implications, but specifically we'll be discussing what is called the economic dimension of globalization. When you are trying to talk about the economic dimension of globalization, certainly there are certain technological progress, and this technological progress are immense magnitude, and this immense and magnitude technological development, which has started and initiated since last 3 decades, is the most vital indicator for the concurrence of profound social transformations centered on the market. What I am trying to argue in this particular context, that since last 3 decades you will find several technological transformations, and these several technological transformations are other lot of transformations which is centered around market, meaning thereby technology plays a very important role to formulate market or to give boost to market economy. So there is a strong link between technology and market. Second important point is when you are trying to undertake economic productions and look at the organization of the commodities, here also you will find there is a great transformation which is occurring. So this is the second important aspect, that it is not only about technology and market, but also it is about economic productions and exchange of commodities. And here also you find there is a great transformation which has taken place since last several decades. Thirdly, economic globalization refers to intensifications and stretching of economic connections across the globe. This is the third important aspect to understand the economic dimension of globalization, that how economic globalization has taken place and it has been intensified and it has stretched the entire economic connections which is existing, which is operating across the globe. So there are 3 points I have said so far. First, I have said there is a linkage between technology and market. Second, I have said there is economic production and there is exchange of commodities and there is a transformation in this. Thirdly, I have said about economic connections across the globe. So these are 3 major dimensions of economic globalization. Apart from these, you can see there is a flow of capital which is mediated through digital technology, and it has stimulated trade in goods and services. The goods and services are being stimulated through your digital technology. This, you can say, is the fourth important aspects of globalization, or economic dimension, or economic aspects of globalization. When you say that there is a digital technology and there is a linkages between digital technology, goods and services, certainly it has extended its reach worldwide. Markets have migrated to cyberspace. That means you have a market which is not having any physical structure, but it is there in the cyber world, and it has created new linkages among national and regional economies. What does it mean? That the nature of market has changed. So when you say that there is a nature of market which has changed, means the digital technology is playing a very important role in this particular context, and the market have been migrated to cyberspace and they created new linkages. That means a new kind of market which has emerged in the cyber world, which was not there earlier. And the cyber world is doing all these linkages across the outlets, across the employees, across the customers. So therefore, the nature of market changed, and largely it is being dominated in the cyberspace. You may have a questions in this regard, sir. To some extent, this may be true, but not totally true. Of course, that is correct. But slowly, if you make analysis, you'll see that how the cyber markets are growing in nature and what is the number of customers, those who are preferring to have cyber market or using cyber markets to get the services and goods instead of physically going to the markets and do the marketing. So therefore, this is the new aspect which is attached with economic aspects of globalization. Not only these cyber markets and digital technology, but also there is a huge transnational corporations, powerful international economic institutions which were also playing very important role to give a shape to these markets. What are these new economic institutions? And these economic institutions are largely transnational corporations. And these transnational corporations are Asia Pacific Economic Corporations, then European Union. Such kind of corporations, unions have also emerged in major way in the 21st century global economic order. That means you'll find that these economic institutions of or new kind of economic institutions are emerging, and the most suitable example is Asia Pacific Economic Corporations, European Union, and then, as I have said yesterday, there are other international bodies like World Bank, International Monetary Funds, and then the G20, for example. So all are a kind of institutions which is emerging and taking towards a new economic global order. That means a new economic global order is emerging out of such development which has happened or which is happening since last 3-4 decades. So what is called the new global economic order? The new global economic order, certainly it is an international kind of economic order. And this international economic order, which has maybe taken a shape after the end of World War II. During this World War II, because of Great Britain, United States of America, and the major economic powers of the global north, they have their protectionist policies during that particular period because of World War II. That means the major world economic nations have developed protectionist policies during this particular period. That means how a new global economic order is emerging or has emerged. So we are trying to find out. You can trace the origin of or the development of new economic world order since World War II. Apart from this protectionist policies, they have resolved to create more stable money exchange system in which the value of each country's currency was pegged to a fixed global value of US dollar. So this is the major milestone in the emergence of new global international economic order. What has happened? There was a protectionist policies by Great Britain, United States of America, and certain other European countries just just after this World War II. But they have created a more money exchange system. As a student of sociology, you must have linked the development of society or development of industrialization, which has a significant impact on society, culture, and people, and that is called the industrial revolutions. And the industrial revolutions was further strengthened by the introduction of money. So the concept of money has also emerged, and why money? The concept of money has emerged because we are shifted towards a agrarian economy to a industrial economy. Since we have shifted from agrarian economy to industrial economy, so this such situation has emerged. Likewise, for new global economic order, these protectionist policies of England, Great Britain, America has created how the networking between these countries can be strengthened. So therefore, they have fixed that the exchange of money can be equated with fixed gold value of US dollar. So this is largely a kind of economic phenomena. Exactly the nitty-gritty, you can find it out that there is a proportionation of, or if you want to find out the value of money, so it is linked with the proportionate of gold reserve. On the basis of that, value of money is being calculated. So likewise, all the major economies are being measured, you can say, in the context of US dollar. So that actually this notion has started just after this World War II, that how currency of other countries can be equated with gold value of US dollar. What is the outcome of such things? The outcome of such thing is about free trade, or to money or the currency of a particular country should not be a barrier to prosperity, or to barrier to get the goods and services. I'll introduce one important point here. When we are discussing about Emile Durkheim in our analysis, and specifically the concept of social solidarity, as a functionalist, we always try to argue that the currency we use is not our production, or it's not the product of any individual, rather it's the product of society. Because society recognizes such currencies and they give values to these currencies. So therefore, these currencies are much more social in nature and social in product, not product of any particular individual or a particular country. So likewise, if you as a student of sociology can link this particular equating with US dollar, this notion has been globally accepted further. It was not confined to these three countries. Now you can see that your currencies is equated with not only US dollar but also the other major currencies of the world. It means your money or your rupees or the value of rupees is always judged in the context of international market. So this is the first point for development of new world international economic order, or you can say new world economic order, which was started during that time. And apart from this, or because of this, a new political and economic agendas were set, and to set such policies and such economic and political agendas, Bretton Woods has given the responsibility, and certainly he set the institutional foundation of the establishment of three new international economic organizations, specifically the International Monetary Fund, that is called IMF, was created to administer the international monetary system. Secondly, the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, later known as World Bank, was also initially designed to provide loans for European post-war reconstructions. Then the third important aspect was General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, which was established in the year 1947. So that means these are the three major global world international organizations, and through these organizations you can say that a new global economic order is being established. But let me clarify these three institutions. One is the Bretton Woods was given the responsibility to design the political and economic agendas. Largely it was in the context of European society, but he proposes these three major institutions. One is IMF, International Monetary Fund, and it was to administer the international monetary system. How international monetary system can be administered, how international monetary situation can be managed, how the exchange rates can be fixed, and what would be the value of the currency of different countries at par with US dollar. I think largely it was such work which was been done by the International Monetary Fund. Secondly, you have this International Bank of Reconstruction and Development. Apart from this IMF, there was a bank called International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, which was later named as World Bank. It was initially designed to provide loans for Europeans post-war reconstructions. So basically this World Bank was there to provide loans to the European countries. Of course, now they are providing loans to across the countries in the globe. So the point I'm trying to say, so this is the second important point which has spread its wings across the globe, and their presence is also very much felt in the arena of international economy. Apart from these two institutions, what I have said about during 1950s, to fund various industrial projects in developing countries around the world, there were certain proposals which was initiated to how the developing countries around the world can be given the support by international economic bodies. So therefore, out of such narratives or out of such requirements, there is a General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, GATT, was established in the year 1947 as a global trade organization charged with fashioning and enforcing multilateral trade agreements. So how to enhance multilateral or multilateral trades across the globe, such kind of initiative was taken by this GATT called GATT, that is called General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. You know, when globalization was started in India during early 90s, of course at that time we were students. All the time, if you make a review of Times of India or any other important newspapers, you'll find that some kind of news and analysis, write-ups and discussions were on the basis of this General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. That means there was an agreement across the nations to enhance trade facilities. I think, of course, it was started in 1947 in Europe, but in India, maybe 1991. So therefore, these concepts were debated, highly debated in India during 90s. Because we were accepting or adopting a new major economic policies. Of course, this talks of policy shift, how there is a policy shift in India. Specifically, this policy shift was started in 1991. So there was a lot of debate and discussions you can find on this GATT. In 1995, this World Trade Organization was founded as the successor organization of GATT. That means in 1995, this General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, these organizations was replaced as World Trade Organization. Of course, it was started with a kind of agreement, but later on it became World Trade Organization. So WTO, World Trade Organizations, how trade can be enhanced, how trade can be occurred, how trade can taken place across the globe, across the nations, across the societies, despite their geographical boundaries. So these are the three major important aspects on the basis of which we say that the world economic order has transformed, has changed to a large extent. So these are the features of new economic world order. Actually, the topmost priorities which were set by this Bretton Woods, and it has immensely contributed to the establishment of what can be called as a golden age of controlled capitalism. That means this particular period in European history is called as golden age of controlled capitalism. How capitalism can be controlled and how capitalism can be given a boost, how capitalism can be spread. So the initial homework or the initial foundation was done by this Bretton Woods, and it is called as the golden age of controlled capitalism. What is the political outfit of this golden age of controlled capitalism? You know, the most conservative political parties in Europe and United States, they also accepted Bretton Woods orientation of this kind of economy. Specifically, the British economists like Keynes, and also they advocate and they are the architect of Bretton Woods system. Then what has happened out of this? The existing mechanism of state control over international capital movement, that means the control over international capital movement, it has made it possible for full employment and expansion of welfare state. So the notion of welfare state, the notion of state control over capital was given a momentum through this. You know what exactly the European countries, if you take it in a different, different way, you know, there are two world order. Of course, one is about the capitalist world order, and the other one is about the socialist world order. But actually, both were flourishing. One was flourished in United States of America or England and all that, and the other one is about Soviet Russia and that side. There are two different ideologies, you can say. But because of these institutions, what I could feel, and because of this united effort by certain European countries, the socialist form of governance and socialist pattern of economy got collapsed. And there was no such effort from other side. And there was certain kind of frustration, anger and anguish in the socialist pattern of economy. So therefore, this is one development. There was other development which was there in 1970s. So there was some kind of tussles, some kind of issues specifically pertaining to the wages, increasing social services, and because of such activities, this Bretton Woods system got collapsed. That means, you see, if you look at the history of any economy or any kind of society, this rise and fall takes place. But the foundation laid by this Bretton Woods system has led us today to such kind of globalizations which was implemented through LPGs. So the point I'm trying to say that because of certain kind of contradictions, this Bretton Woods system collapsed, and later a new global economic order emerged. Of course, the foundation was taken by this, given by this, or started by this, but later on there were certain issues because of which this Bretton Woods system got collapsed. Then what has happened after this? After this, there was President of United States of America become Richard Nixon, and he has abandoned this gold linked ratio to dollars because of certain internal issues of United States of America, specifically instability in form of inflations, low economic growth, high unemployment, public sector deficit, and unprecedented energy crisis due to organization of petroleum exporting countries. So there are certain issues in the United States of America. And this political crisis or this political situation in US has created or has tried to go for a controlled capitalism, or this model of controlled capitalism which was initiated. It got suffered, and then you got this neoliberal approaches to economic and social policies. That means initially it was a controlled capitalism, but later on a neoliberal approach to economic and social policies has started. Apart from United States of America, what has happened during British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher? And by that time the US president has also changed. So Ronald Reagan became the president of US. So they have focused on neoliberal revolutions against the Keynesian economy or Keynesian model of economy. What are these two different kind of models of economy? You can try to make more further studies on these issues. What is called the Keynesian model of economy and what is called the controlled capitalism or controlled capitalism and the neoliberal model of economy. So, what exactly I am trying to argue or trying to convey, that because of these developments, you got a new world economic order, and it has been further strengthened by the internationalization of trade and finance. And what are the major concrete neoliberal measures which was initiated as part of neoliberal policies and agendas? So there are 10 important characteristics of neoliberal policies, specifically called privatization of public enterprises, then deregulation of the economy, liberalization of trade and industries, massive tax cuts, then monetarist measures to keep inflation in check. That means how inflation can be checked by monetarist measures even at the risk of increasing unemployment. Then strict control on organized labor, the reduction of public expenditures, particularly social spendings, downsizing of government, the expansion of international market, the removal of control on global financial flows. I think these are the 10 major important liberalized measures which were started by these liberal economies.